Welcome to the video. Please subscribe. If you want to just get straight to the iceberg, you can click the link on screen right now. But if you somehow clicked on this and you don't know what an iceberg is, it's just a gathering of information in a chart, and the deeper you get, the less likely you know it. It's been pretty common on YouTube for a couple of years now. That's just a quick rundown of it. With that being said, today's iceberg is on You and Neutron. Shout out to TruMediumI and Denver Comet for the iceberg on icebergcharts.com. You can find it right now. But if you're truly coming into this with zero context, You and Neutron was a Nick show from the early 2000s, starring Jimmy Neutron, boy genius. An 11-year-old who's really smart, usually makes an invention for one of his problems, goes wrong, he fixes it. That's basically the rundown of each episode. So we got main character Jimmy, his friends Carl and Sheen, his mum and dad, as well as Cindy and Libby, who are the love interests of Jimmy and Sheen respectively. But without further ado, let's get into the Jimmy Neutron iceberg. The stars. Brain Blast is said in the show as an intellectual outburst that Jimmy has. Whenever he comes up with something really quickly to save them at the end of each episode, he usually says Brain Blast. Gotta blast! There's also Gotta Blast, which is what Jimmy says at the beginning of each intro.
Actually, dude, it's salt.
It's sodium chloride as a reference to the McSpankies episode where Skeet says,
just a little sodium chloride.
Actually, dude, it's salt.
That's what I said, sodium chloride.
Dude, that would be salt.
This really took off as a meme around 2016-ish, and it's been referenced so many times.
Jimmy. Jimmy. Jim James, son!
Jimbo is what Hugh, aka Jimmy's dad, calls him throughout the series.
Fire it up, Jimbo.
Neutron!
As well as Neutron being what Cindy calls Jimmy.
Slap, 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 clap, 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 slap, 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 clap, clap, clap.
Bulby's a minor character on the show, first appearing in Jimmy for President as an exchange student, and appearing a few times throughout the series, being well known for saying, he's from a foreign place called Bakharistan. I didn't make the show. The end of his name being pronounced Ski might be a reference to like Macedonian last names, so that's just a theory, I don't actually know. He's also voiced by Phil Lamar, who you may know as Samurai Jack or Hermes from Futurama.
Jimmy's mom.
Carl liking Judy or him going, Jimmy's mom, which I probably butchered, is something that starred in 976/J Love Potion episode, which is a Valentine's Day episode, where Jimmy falls for Cindy, Sheen falls for Libby, and Carl falls for Jimmy's mom. Jimmy's mom just got it going on. Carl Weezer walked so Young Gravy could run.
Are you going to finish that croissant?
Carl's croissant is a reference to the Lights, Camera, Danger episode, something that will come up a lot more on the list, which is something he says to the fake director who ends up being Professor Calamitous. He can never finish anything, which is why he didn't finish the croissant, and then we get the iconic line,
any questions?
Are you going to finish that croissant?
Knock yourself out.
Cindy and Libby design changes. This is referencing the fact that Cindy and Libby look different throughout the show. Cindy looked completely different in the movie than she did to the show, but for some reason, for like the season 3 DVD I believe it was, they still used her old design. They also used her old design in some of the games as well. And Libby changes designs in season 2 when they have to fool mummies that she's the queen, and it stayed like that throughout the show. DNA Productions and O Entertainment. This one's pretty simple. The two companies behind Jimmy Neutron, DNA Productions and O-Mation, or O Entertainment, being owned by John A. Davis, Keith Alcorn for DNA Productions, and Steve Odenkirk for O-Mation. I'm probably going to say O-Mation a lot instead of O Entertainment. I probably mean O Entertainment a lot of times. Steve Odenkirk being behind Thumb series of films, Ace Ventura sequel, Patch Adams, and Kung Pao. And can we forget the Nutty Professor? I should also probably mention the monkey that jumps out of the bushes at the end of each episode, Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul.
He'll be very important later on the iceberg, don't you worry. Honestly, I watched Mutant Mayhem, and like, for a thing about mutants that was made by Nickelodeon, had the SpongeBob reference, I noticed a like very distinctive lack of Paul in there. I need him for Nick All-Star Brawl 2. Hashtag Paul for Brawl. Tweet it at them. Oh, what? Nickelodeon, I hope you're watching this. Speaking of Brawl, Hugh Neutron in All-Star Brawl. Hugh Neutron being in All-Star Brawl was basically just like a massive Twitter meme. People just campaigned for him to be in the game for some reason. They just loved Hugh Neutron. And funny enough, Jimmy wasn't even playable in the game. He only became playable in this year's Nick All-Star Brawls 2. But still, I ain't seeing no Paul. I want to see Paul.
I'm more of a duck guy.
Hugh has a duck obsession. He loves ducks and he loves pies. Those are his two like massive memes throughout the entire show. As far as I'm aware, I don't think we ever actually get told why. It's just like his thing.
Now he's a villain and a genius, just like Dr. Phil.
The Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, right here, was a trilogy of crossovers between The Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron. The third one was actually meant to be the series finale for both shows before Fairly Odd Parents got, cancelled, then re-aired, then cancelled, and re-aired, and cancelled, and re-aired. The second one also had this joke.
Hi, Mrs. Neutron.
Jimmy's inventions. Pretty self-explanatory, referring to all the inventions throughout the show, which are Goddard Robot Dog, Vox, Hovercar, Jetpack, Robo-Walker, 40 Hypercube and seemingly infinite storage cube, Mood Meter, Chip, we'll get to that later. Mark 1, 2, and 4 robots, we'll find out what happened to 3 later. And so much more. Like, I just skipped some because it was taking so long. I also think it's relevant to mention the movie poster that listed Goddard as his 9,000th invention, so he's made a lot.
Big McThankies from McSpankies.
McSpankies is the fast food chain Jimmy Neutron used in the Men at Work sodium chloride episode, with their slogan being Big McThankies from McSpankies.
Big McThankies from McShankies.
Look like alien Skeet.
I'm also going to put Skeet here as well, since he is the worker, and this is the only episode that it is in, so it's probably just relevant to mention here.
With eyes that could make a woman's pussy shit.
Memes. This is just a reference to the multitude of memes you'll find on the show. There'll be many more memes later on the list, so don't worry. Planet Sheen, the Jimmy Neutron spin-off no one asked for or likes. Also, Planet Sheen characters were the only characters available in Nick MLB, just being the Chimp, Sheen, and Ultra Lord. Oh yeah, it also ended on a cliffhanger, so Sheen's still in space. Pop culture references. This is just referring to pop culture references. Here we go again. In the Enderman, Jimmy's superpower, obviously reference to the Hulk. In Lights, Camera, Danger, Jimmy tries to make the perfect movie, and it is the one 20-second scene they parody the MGM Lion, Titanic, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars Episode 4, E.T., Forrest Gump, Star Wars Episode 5, Finding Nemo, Toy Story, Home Alone, Wizard of Oz, Matrix, and themselves. As well as Rob Paulson, I'm pretty sure this was a reference, because Carl runs up to Jimmy, who is voiced by Rob Paulson, and when he pretends to forget his name, he says,
I'm just kidding. It's Rob, right?
There's also a really good video called Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius's Tributes to Cinema by Onicorp, so I suggest you go watch that. I was originally going to end the section there, but then I thought, what media parodies Jimmy Neutron? In my personal favourite IP jerkfest of all time, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, they have Jimmy Neutron's hairpiece in a massive scene where they have like all the animated bits that were stolen. It even gets its own close-up. We also have reference to it in Lincoln Swim from the Loud House, where Miss Fail's seen swimming at the senior pool. In the Fairly Odd Parents Season 3, Episode 8A, Sleep Over and Over, Cosmo comes across 3 animals throughout the show, which he calls Jimmy, Cindy, and Carl. It's been mentioned twice on SNL too. The first time being Season 27, Episode 17, with The Rock and Andrew WK, in the segment Hardball with Chris Matthews.
Chris, that is ludicrous. Jimmy Neutron, you got a comment?
The second episode is with Michael P. Jordan and Lil Baby, in a sketch about a male confidence seminar where he just starts fucking roasting the shit out of him.
I was wondering if you have any tips on coping with having a big old forehead?
I don't have a big old forehead, Kay. I'm not like you, dude.
Cool. Got the scarf, the rings. You're in charge like immediately.
You got a Jimmy Neutron head, bro?
There's also a 2-second magazine shot from the 2004 movie Clean, which you can find on YouTube. It's advertising a spider. I couldn't find what actual magazine this was. If anyone wants to go out there and do your own research, feel free to. In a movie called The Big Sleaze, which no one has watched, there's a drawing that's just like actually a pretty good drawing of Jimmy and Cindy. In Bones, Season 5, Episode 16, Angela says to Zach,
Hey, it's Jimmy Neutron, huh? Boy scientist?
in Mad, it's like 2D Robot Chicken, but like a little bit worse. Season 2, Episode 11. Some monkey sent off to like a place for talking monkeys, and they put Shane with Mr. Neesmith.
Goodbye, Mr. Monkey!
It took me 48 years to get back to Earth and you stick me here?
Paul was right there. Stop dogging my boy. In the Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 7 finale Lights Out, we find out that Rosa finds baby's gross.
I'm excited to meet your baby when it's clean and wearing clothes and not blasting out of you like some half-Cuban Jimmy Neutron.
What if all your friends were named Cliff? Would you jump off them?
This one's just a reference to the scene in the movie where he says to Jimmy,
What if all your friends were named Cliff? Would you jump off them? I don't think you would.
The movie. Pretty self-explanatory. Just referencing the movie, I don't know why it's this low.
Later, Nick.
This is referencing the famous meme said by Cool Jimmy.
Well, how about next time you get a board that can handle the Neutron style? Later, Nick.
This is Ultra Lord.
Ultra Lord is a fake superhero in the Jimmy Neutron universe that Sheen is obsessed with. It also spawned the meme,
Sheen, this is the 7th week in a row you've shown Ultra Lord in class.
which has had so many variations.
Good boy. That's
That's me.
Donut Boy is Hugh's made-up persona for a character in the Lights, Camera, Danger episode. Probably one of the most iconic bits of the episode, if not the most iconic. He even has his own theme song. I mean, how can you not love that? But that was the end of the stars. Now moving on to layer 2.
Retroville!
Once when I was 7 years old, I sat on a banana.
This is referring to a quote that Hugh said as an adult joke in the show. Because he said when he was a kid, he sat on a banana, and it changed his life forever. What? This is a line from the show that's often regarded as Carl's most angry moment. Everyone was trying to bribe Carl since he thought he was the most gullible. In the end, he ended up voting for no one, but getting found out and forced to. So he votes for Bulby, who was the only one that didn't manipulate him. Berleezy, popular for his videos back in 2016, doing cartoon intro exposed videos. You might have seen him from the meme,
She kinda bad though. Is that Frost?
a lot of these cartoon exposed were taken down by Viacom, sadly. But this one is referencing his Jimmy Neutron video, and it gave me an excuse to watch it again. I was still laughing out loud.
Look at how fast this thing goes around this nigga dome. He doesn't even have one scratch. This dude is brilliant.
Like a lot of others, this is pretty self-explanatory. Just a video of Carl and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo hitting the Macarena in 3D models. To break my stride for some reason. Don't ask me why. This one's close to my heart because the Macarena is my second favourite dance move to bust out this out of nowhere. Right next to the fucking Goofy Gangnam Style.
Open Gundam Style.
Jimmy got a brain blast when he went to the brain cell subreddit.
This is referring to a clip by the YouTuber Oni Plays, where they poke fun at the 2000s trope of like, ew, girls, we're young boys, cooties, eh? As Ben Shapiro said, ew, why is it wet? Oh my god, that's a medical condition, get that checked. Basically making fun of them when they're on the asteroid specifically in the movie, calling them incels. This is referring to all the Carl Weezer covers of songs. A lot of these videos were popular before AI, which means a lot of these are impersonations of the character, which I think makes them so much better. If you just search up Carl Weezer cover on YouTube, you find a multitude of covers like Slow Dancing in the Dark, Glimpse of Us, Montero, which is one of my favourites, if not my favourite, Say It Ain't So, Rap God, WAP, Redbone, and The Box, where instead of the N-word, he replaces it with Jimmy. Chip. I told you we'd get back to him later. Chip is a fake counselor android that Jimmy takes in a Beautiful Mind episode to let them go to space because they're tricking the parents. He's significant and on this list because he looks a lot like Skeet from Men at Work. Like literally the same person but blonde.
The Neutron Dimensionalizer!
The Chrysler Town & Country was a minivan produced from 1990 to 2016. There was a Jimmy Neutron commercial on it, and hold up, pause the B-roll. Pause it, no. Pause, as Morg said. I know what you're thinking. That ain't look right. My motherfucker Paul did not approve of this shit. Well, that's because the commercial came out in 2007, after DNA Productions shut down. We don't know the actual animation company behind this, but we do know it was directed by Richard Kizu Blair. My guess is that the O-mation subdivision of O Entertainment probably animated this commercial, since it's like a lot like the Planet Sheen style of animation. Dexter's Lab comparisons. This entry is obviously referring to Dexter's Laboratory, the Cartoon Network show. I can't speak too much on how similar it is to Jimmy Neutron, since the only episode I've really seen is Brood Removal. One of them's 2D, one of them's 3D, but they are both about like geniuses who are very young. And from what I've seen of Dexter, they're both narcissistic assholes. That could just be Brood Removal.
Sin City was a maybe.
Globs of Doom is at pause. SpongeBob SquarePants featuring Nicktoons. Bro, look how they disrespected Nicktoons in this fucking cover. SpongeBob SquarePants featuring Nicktoons. They whispered that shit. They don't even have a Nicktoons logo. They just used a regular ass font. Anyway, in the game, Jimmy looks like a TikTok e-boy trying to rizz up the camera. Like, how do you mess up the only character in 3D? Like, why the fuck is bro looking at me with that Sin City wasn't made for you? Anyway, there's 4 of these Nicktoons games, so if they remaster them, you know I'm playing them.
Looks like you're going to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo.
Looks like you're going to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo, is a meme of just Hugh, just with like some shit behind it. I think it's from Yu-Gi-Oh! My personal favourite variation of this is when you miss the small X on the ad. Jimmy Neutron singing Gangsta's Paradise comes from the Tomorrow Boys episode. He yells it in reaction to finding out that he marries Cindy in the future. And this was also the version used for I'm about to go. Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoons Blast. Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoons Blast is a now defunct Jimmy Neutron ride from Universal Studios. It says that it connects all the shows in the same universe, but this is more of like a CN City type thing where like, I don't think it's canon. The ride doesn't exist anymore, but you can watch clips of it on YouTube, which I actually did. Also, what's stopping Nickelodeon from putting a Jimmy Neutron ride somewhere in like the Mall of America or somewhere? A Nick theme park is my dream. Hold up. After a bit of research, there's a Fairly Odd Parents ride and Jimmy Neutron ride called Jimmy Neutron's Atom Smasher. Hardest name of all time for a ride. Didn't even watch the rest of the video. Spins you around, flips you upside down. I would love to go see this, honestly. If you guys get me balling, I'm going on the Jimmy Neutron ride. But there are two Nickelodeon mall theme parks. Like, they're both inside of malls for some reason. I say put it somewhere in the Mall of America, seeing as I don't think that one has a Jimmy Neutron ride. It used to having a ride called Jimmy Neutron's Atomic Collider, which is very similar to this one. Closed down 15th of April 2018, replaced by a Paw Patrol ride. As I said, it's similar, but you go in like a Ferris wheel sort of direction. Oh shit, I forgot, we're talking about this one. It's similar to the Simpsons ride if you've been on that. As well as like Shrek 4D and Scoob, which I went to see when I went to Queensland in 2022. It was trash. It was just re-clipped moments from the movie. And they also like didn't string them together in a way where it made sense. It's just like watching clips on YouTube. Actually, I am better off watching clips on YouTube and then just taking like acid or something. I found a version with pre and post ride shows included, and remember how there's no such thing as Mark III.
Along with the Mark IV is my Mark II and the original, slightly unpredictable Mark I. What happened to the Mark III? Don't ask.
I guess we will never know. Pre-show just starts with Jimmy showing us his rockets when we get an intruder alert. We can see outside cameras that show us King Goobot. As Jimmy does his best Dora impersonation, King Oobla cuts a laser through the wall. My theory is this is an alternate canon to the show since Jimmy's lab is underground and here is in like the theme park slash like lot. He's in a lot. He's in the Nickelodeon lot. Oobla comes in and steals Jimmy's rocket, so now we have to go after him to save the Nicktoons and the planet. I don't know what he's going to do to the planet. Maybe I missed that part. Now the ride actually starts, and we see Jimmy leave the lab to the left instead of the way this motherfucker actually went. We go past sets for Rocko's Modern Life, Invader Zim, Cat Dog, Angry Beavers, Chalk Zone, Rocket Power, and the Wild Thornberries. We go through a slime tower, and for some reason, instead of a set, there's a full town of Hey Arnold. So maybe Hey Arnold is like a reality show in this universe. I want to take this chance to say this could also be the same canon as either like the Nicktoon Summer Beach House. Jimmy and Carl go through the Rugrats set, leaves through the window, pause, reverse, freeze. If they leave out a window from the Rugrats house, how do they see a set in front of them? They should still be on the Rugrats set. What happened? Did the house teleport onto the lot when they were inside of it that we didn't see? Like, what happened? We go on to the Fairly Odd Parents and damn, we fucking demolished that door. Get wrecked, door. All my homies hate doors. Carl yells, motherfucker, are you racist? Jimmy calls out for Cosmo and Wanda. Wanda? No one talks about her name. Like, I don't feel like nowhere near enough people talk about her name being Wanda. She's a fairy. She uses a wand. Her name is Wanda. That's like a Discord moderated legal name being like Nancy. That's like if Dream was called like Petty or something. Jimmy says to Cosmo and Wanda,
You've got to help us! Elvis, you got it!
Hey, thank you very much.
can they just fucking name drop him like that? Cosmo fucks up again, so he just gives Carl the wand, which he used to make Oobla disappear, but Jimmy reminds him that they need to chase him.
Carl, we have to follow him! Sounds like a witch!
No, it doesn't. At what point in that sentence did he say, I wish? Never. Carl and Jim get poofed to the Yokian planet, drive right into a trap. Also, Oobla just turned back to normal. And then they drive away. What a shit plan. You were chasing him and now you're just running away. And, like, what's the point? What is he gonna do with the rocket anyway? The rocket runs out of power and Carl just says, damn! How did his skin not get ripped off? They're going fast! They splash down into the world of SpongeBob. The rocket slices up SpongeBob's house and there's just a massive canned pineapple. Why was there a massive pineapple can there? It's so dumb. Honestly, it's so stupid, I'm not even mad. They go through a pipe that leads right back into the lab somehow. Then what was the point of that whole thing? The rocket's still gone. King Oobla blasts into the lab that somehow got boarded up already. Carl just like blasts a shot out of Cosmo's wand that hits him. Carl spawns llamas and Jimmy wishes us goodbye as the screen closes. There is actually no post-show. The video just shows us like a gift shop and some ride activities. I deadass thought this said Sex Wizard 5000. That would have been awesome. That's up there with like the Indian like blast missile they made. Anyway, if you need to use Sex Wizard 5000 as your Pornhub account name, I give you full permission.
Hi, I'm Johnny Quasar.
Not to be confused with the runaway rocket boy pilot for Jimmy Neutron, Johnny Quasar is the original Jimmy Neutron from the 80s. When he was first conceived, he was Johnny Quasar. I found Paul Clearhout's website, which had some art for it. Yes, that Paul. So go to paulclearhout.com if you want to see some more cool art. And while we're at it, if you want to see some really cool stuff, go to fortniteburgers.net.
Hello, fuckface. I'm Johnny Quasar.
I just bought this entire hospital.
Meat Canyon is a popular animation YouTuber. You probably know him for his Mr. Beast video. The only way I can explain his animation style is like, have you ever watched SpongeBob and there's that one close-up frame? Imagine that for like an entire like 5-minute video. Nitro Rad is a gaming YouTuber who's made videos on most of the Jimmy Neutron games.
Nigga, what?
Possible revival. This is referring to just hints and efforts of getting a revival of Jimmy Neutron. And honestly, I don't see any reason for them not to. From what I've seen, the whole cast is down for it. The voice actors for Jimmy's dad and Jimmy have also like used the hashtag Jimmy Neutron Revival when tweeting about like stuff for the show. For example, in late 2022 when I had an anniversary for the show at Comic-Con.
Jimmy, your dad's a sex machine. So embarrassing, Dad.
Also, when looking at Jimmy's dad's Twitter account, I found this tweet. Pre-movie shorts. This entry applies to a couple things. It could apply to the shorts that take place directly before the opening of the movie. Like literally, the ending part of Calling All Aliens, which is what it's called, ties directly into the very beginning scene of the movie. Or it could refer to the shorts that aired on Nickelodeon promotion for the movie. Those being Carl Squared, Cookie Time, Hypercorn, New Dog, Old Tricks, Pain Pain Go Away, C-, and Ultra Lord versus the Squirrels.
The pizza is aggressive.
Seinfeld Spitstain is the GOAT who will appear later on this list. Most popular for the Jimmy Neutron Happy Family Hour and 18 million view shitpost video. Most of his videos were Jimmy Neutron related, as well as his profile picture being Carl Weezer, and he hasn't been on the platform for 9 years.
Get out, dude. You're fired.
Sodium Chloride but Skeet Club's Back was originally a 4chan post that ended up getting voiced on YouTube a couple times. The video is just alternate versions of Sodium Chloride with Skeet is like, hey Jimmy, I'm not asking you to say salt because I'm dumb, alright? I'm asking you to say it because normal people just call it salt. You don't have to use big words to sound smart.
Taco Shack, you'll eat cheese until you yak.
The Taco Shack and its subsequent theme are both from the Jimmy Neutron Men at Work episode as well. It's a restaurant that Hugh wants to go to throughout the episode instead of McSpanky's, and if I recall correctly, it was taken out when McSpanky's restaurant went around destroying all the fast food places in town.
Hashtag Jimmy Neutron Revival, hashtag Hugh Nation. Bye-bye now!
Uncle Al is a YouTuber that is famous for his Hugh Neutron impression. He actually made a video with Hugh's voice actor called Into the Hughverse, and he made one called Hughception, and he has a bunch of them.
Carl is pregnant?
Who's Your Mummy is an infamous episode because Carl Weezer's ass got boy preggers. He gives birth by shitting. Been There, Sheen That is a Planet Sheen online platformer. I think it was hosted on Nick.com. I believe it's official. It was under fandom though, so this might have been a fan-made game. I'm not too sure. You can find full gameplay videos of it on YouTube, and you can also play it for yourself on Flashpoint. But that's the end of Retroville. Let's get down to G's Lab. Sleepless in Smashville, which is a play on words with Sleepless in Retroville from Jimmy Neutron, which is also a play on words on Sleepless in Seattle, is an October 2012 YouTube video made by MiskDam64, where he takes audio from the Jimmy Neutron episode along with stills from Melee? It's a Smash game.
Sleeping bags? Toothbrushes? You're moving in! Oh.
And honestly, that's one hell of a way to avoid copyright infringement. She's broken. This is a Jimmy Neutron version of the like, he's okay because he lied thing, but it's just like, she's broken. Sheen.
What you gonna do about it, Ants?
The Ant Bully is a 2006 DNA production film, and it was such a financial flop that DNA Productions had to shut down. The movie was actually made because his son borrowed the book from a library. Tom Hanks thought it had a very strong message about the effects of bullying on people, so he went to John A. Davis, the creator of Jimmy Neutron, and said, hey, can we make a movie on this? But if you really want to think about it, Jimmy Neutron ended because Tom Hanks had sex. I don't think a man's penis has had that much power since Genghis Khan.
Looks like it's past my bedtime.
Aquatic is one of those YouTubers in the same style as like Super Mario Logan, who makes plush videos. And on this list, because he made a couple plush videos of Jimmy Neutron, one being leaked footage from the movie. Holy shit, did he set his house on fire? Broken Finger Paradise. Broken Finger Paradise is a horror animator who's made a couple Jimmy Neutron shorts. Seriously, like whenever I think about YouTube shorts, I was watching this and like the horror thing and how it's animated reminded me of Meat Canyon, but also I was thinking, what in the skibbity toilet is this?
Paul?
Pretty simple, referring to all the different variations of the DNA Productions logo, such as double Paul, no Paul, reverse Paul. I don't think we ever saw him 2D in the Jimmy Timmy Power Hours. That's a missed opportunity. One of them, he has a mustache. One of them, he forgets his line. Another one, he forgets his line. There's two separate ones where he forgets his line, I think.
Creepy Philly.
So in the Lights, Camera, Danger episode, we've obviously discussed that this Donut Boy, he has his own theme song. This is either referring to a lost version that people predict is like, oh, is there a full version of the Donut Boy theme song? Or maybe it's like just people hoping that there's a Donut Boy extended version.
Ducks, the greatest musical ever made!
Ducks the Musical is a musical that Hugh and Judy are going to see in Season 1, Episode 13A, Party at Neutron's. Title is an obvious play on Cats the Musical. Apparently it's to the tune of the Jet song from West Side Story, but I've never actually seen West Side Story, so I can't comment on that.
That's just a theory.
Pretty self-explanatory. Fan theory is something that a fan comes up with on the show. An example being Jimmy Neutron is actually in like a testing zone. I have my own fan theory. Paul and the DNA Productions logo. Yeah, that's a mutated Jimmy. The next entry actually is a fan theory, which is Jimmy Neutron and Back to the Barnyard are in the same universe. So basically, in the very final episode of Back at the Barnyard, we see Planet Xenu when you're going through all the planets. Shane also sees them in but that's a dream. Which is so weird. Like, imagine seeing a person in a dream, right? And you never see them in real life, but somewhere on Earth, that's like actually a real person. Anyway, yeah, Omation is behind both shows, Steve Odenkirk, so probably. Jimmy Neutron Revival Project. The Jimmy Neutron Revival Project, not to be confused with the hopes of getting a revival, is a Tumblr page that has been going since like before 2013. Planet Sheen wasn't even a year into its run. You're hoping for a revival when there's already a spin-off that exists.
You want an M&M?
Mr. Krabs Giving Carl Weezer an M&M is a bit that was done on the Rob Paulson Talking Tunes podcast, where they had Clancy Brown, the voice of Mr. Krabs, as a guest star. Anyway, they read a scene from The Office Season 3, Episode 3, The Coop, where Michael Scott gives Dwight an M&M. There was a rumored Jimmy Neutron Fortnite collab, rumored in air quotes because it was never actually intended to be a Fortnite concept. It was just edited by Stinky Blue Rat on Twitter. To this day, I'm still disappointed there has never been a skin from any of the Holy Trinity children's networks, being Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, or Nickelodeon. I'm talking about like Lab Rats skins would fit into fucking Fortnite. Henry Danger skins would fit into Fortnite. And if they were to do a Jimmy Neutron skin, I feel like they'd have to put him inside the Robo Walker. Kind of like a Mecha Morty situation, but Robo Walker's established. I've watched all of Rick and Morty. I don't think there's a mech. Where did the Mecha Morty mech come from? I just want to have my dumb kid shows in Fortnite. Seriously, why can't I be Henry Hart, double pump Kratos, and fucking hit the gritty, or like Ice Spice, baby, I am a man. The original post was made by, and I'm so sorry, I'm gonna butcher this, Naza Nozchenko. But yeah, pretty cool. And it's weird that there were people thirsting over older Jimmy in the quote retweets. Runaway Rocket Boy was the original pilot / like concept for Jimmy Neutron. Couple things were different. Like Jimmy's shirt in this version is just striped instead of this iconic tee right here. The intro is slightly different. I don't think anything was different in the series' normal intro besides like a couple lines being removed. But probably the biggest one for me is the DNA Productions end logo. The O logo is exactly the same, but DNA Productions had their mascot, Helix the cat, which is one of their OG mascots. Honestly, I like Helix so much more. Don't get me wrong, still love Paul, but I'm just an overall bigger fan of Helix the cat's vibe. I actually contacted the voice behind Paul Paul Clearhout, because I originally predicted that the change of logo was so they could show off CGI since they were a CGI animation company, to which he responded,
yes, they wanted something new and different for the Neutron Show DNA logo.
oh yeah, one more thing about Runaway Rocket Boy. Why does Carl look like that?
Nick.
This one's been retitled from SpongeBob Interruptions since it wasn't only in SpongeBob. But in preparation for the Jimmy Neutron movie, from September to December of 2001 when you were watching Nickelodeon, there was a chance that you'd see Jimmy Neutron come to the bottom of the screen and start fucking around with the show. Often accompanied by Goddard, they could mess around by like reversing, skipping forward, replaying over and over parts of the show. But some of my personal favourites is when he went into Rugrats and changed all their hair to be like his. And the most creative is probably the SpongeBob puppet ones. There are others like Jimmy playing fetch with a Nickelodeon leaf, and also him being covered in slime by the logo and throwing it back on.
All morning long, Jimmy will be zapping himself into your favorite Nicktoons.
The storyboards are cartoons. This is referring to the animation storyboard, which is 2D drawings of the shows. The video that was linked in the Iceberg got removed, but I actually found some on the channel called the Jake Archive, which you can go watch right now. Then after I thought, why not use the Wayback Machine? I found out the video was a storyboard of Sleepless in Retroville, one that we didn't actually have. Then I saw another tab recommend Sleepless in Retroville from a channel called Mr. Coleslaw. I searched the channel with no luck, but then I decided to copy the link, remove the Wayback Machine part, and I found it unlisted on the channel C99. Seeing as you can't find it easily, it should be in one of these corners. I'll put it up. Then even later, I found a channel called DFW Home Manatee, which I found out posted story clips from Monster Hunt, Operation Jet Fusion, and Nightmare in Retroville. Also, they're from Paul Clearhout, and this is his channel. So go subscribe to Paul Clearhout's YouTube channel. Also, I recommend if you're into archiving and don't have these, rush to these channels, download them, save them in archives just in case they mysteriously disappear one day.
What's wrong, Jimmy Coon?
What's wrong, Jimmy Coon is a version of the meme, what's wrong, blank, Coon, could it be you're craving my blank, where Carl says,
What's wrong, Jimmy Coon? Could it be that you're craving my colossal...
You two poop. Where there's smoke, they pinch back.
YouTube poops, more often than not, are just heavily memed versions of TV shows and movies. This is referring to Jimmy Neutron YouTube poops, or at least the ones that survived years and years of copyright strikes.
I want a little brother.
That's a line that Jimmy says to his parents to try and get a little brother in Season 1, Episode 3, Brobot. That's gotten memed, where Jimmy just starts to explain the process of birth before his parents shut him down.
Not complicated. It's basically...
Oscar's alternate scene. If you didn't know, back in 2001, Jimmy Neutron was nominated for like a CGI animated category at the Oscars for the first year that it ever ran, and he was up against Monsters, Inc. and Shrek. Are you kidding me? He had no chance. My boy was fucked. But there is obviously an alternate scene in case they did win because Jimmy wasn't actually there. I like how in the original version he's so fed up, he can't even be bothered to fucking clap for himself and just holding up this shit. But that's the end of Jimmy's lab. Now on to Twonkus 3.
So now we're actually on Twonkus.
Hi, I'm Paul McCartney and I'm trapped in the body of a three-eyed monkey. So there's this parody news site called Sherman Ave. They wrote a joke article from the perspective of Paul McCartney being Paul from the outro. I don't know why they did that.
Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
So this entry refers to like something you'd see in Twitter replies. It's just a photo of Jimmy Neutron pointing up and going, like in the pose where he's like superhero Lenny's like, this person has 500 gigabytes of
Hey, Neutron!
A Neutron Family Christmas is yet another Seinfeld spit stain video. He will appear after, but in this video basically what happens is as the cops swarm his house. Can I even put that in the fucking video? I don't think I can.
Gotta think!
This is just like a theory stating that the possibility of any character doing a brain blast. We see Jimmy having brain blast, we see Santa have a brain blast, and we see Timmy Turner almost have a brain blast. Sure, any character can have a brain blast, because Cindy says in the Power Hour it's a
sudden burst of intuitive insight.
When someone has a really good sudden idea and they go, urethra!
A Jimmy Neutron lunchbox.
I thought this would have referred to the actual Jimmy Neutron lunchbox, where it refers to a video where someone has like a Jimmy Neutron lunch pal or something, whatever it's called. Oh, and then it fucking explodes.
Now that
Jimmy's polygons. So from what I can see, this is referring to the fact that getting Jimmy Neutron in HD would take over like 1.5 million polygons. So it takes a gigabyte of RAM, which I don't really know how much that's like from.
What's the recommended amount of dedicated RAM I should have to a server?
Also, I don't know where they got this information from. Fun fact, Senator, I'll show you a source. And my source is that I made it the fuck up. Pretty simple. Referring to dubs of Jimmy Neutron, I actually got one on my For You page of I Dream of Jimmy in like, I don't even remember what language it was. I can't find the video though. I also saw a video of the Japanese outro. Doesn't have DNA Productions logo. So we don't actually know if they have that. I was talking to Paul. Yes, that Paul. Once again, thank you so much for responding to my messages. And I asked him a separate question, but he also included in his answer some multi-language dubs, to which he said,
I do remember we did a bunch in foreign languages. Anything I knew how to say hi I'm Paul in. So there was one in Spanish, with me imitating Antonio Banderas, Dutch, Cantonese, Mandarin, Japanese, and French. I don't think any of those were used. Nickelodeon used their own Spanish dub, which was awful.
And I actually found a Spanish version ending. This might be official. Sadly, at the end of the Japanese thing, I found there was no Paul dub. But if you listen closely at the very end, I'll play the clips back to back. It sounds like at the very end of that outro, you can hear like the helix noise. But yeah, if you guys can find any other language dubs of anything Jimmy Neutron related, let me know. So Iceberg's inaccurate here. It says Seth Rogen, and we've been over this. It's Paul Clearhouse.
It tastes like fried chicken.
In the Jimmy Neutron episode, Birth of a Salesman, Jimmy creates book gum, which gives the chewer all the information of the book. And in Gone with the Wind, there's a character named Prissy who is a teenage black slave who has the line, I don't know nothing about birthing no babies. Cindy chews the gum and says that it tastes like fried chicken and proceeds to say a line from the character. People obviously referring this to the racist stereotype. So just to lighten the mood a bit, I did also find a creator called Easy as Try on TikTok who made book gum IRL. 25 likes, I make book gum on Petko props. PC game creepiness. This is referring to a post on Reddit talking about how like empty and weird and ill all like the Jimmy Neutron game on PC looks. Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius on PC is strangely eerie, thanks to its uncanny valley character models, lack of animations, dated graphics, and overwhelming feeling of canopsia due to its wide, empty levels. I can understand that feeling of like being alone and like empty being really creepy. Well, that's creepy, and as well as this image, like ill. Ultra Sheen logo font is the same as the Sega logo font. Pretty self-explanatory. Going into a video game episode is Ultra Sheen, where he goes into an Ultra Lord game, and the title card uses the Sega logo font. There's a little fun, like, unanswered thing. I asked Paul Clearhouse, and he was like, oh, it's made out of CGI. Not really what I meant. It's fine, though. It's like, when I asked the question, I didn't mean what it was literally made out of. I was like, oh, is it made out of, like, Jell-O? But yeah, your answer is CGI, guys. Thanks for watching the Iceberg. Jimmy Lost World. Sonic Lost World was a 2013 Sonic game. Jimmy Lost World is a mod created by YouTuber PacMac, and it's a Jimmy Neutron mod version of Sonic Lost World. But that's the end of Twonkus 3. Now onto the ocean floor. The ocean floor is actually like kind of a niche reference. In Operation Jet Fusion, when the boys are swimming underwater, you can see a pineapple as a reference to SpongeBob, and that's actually what this level's referencing. Hashtag Stan Donut Boy. I actually can't find this one. I assume this is a hashtag going around Twitter or something, talking about standing Hugh Neutron's Donut Boy. I feel pretty strong about that assumption. Carl Weaworth was a boy is a YouTube poop, and it definitely has some questionable language. It was taken down, but it was re-uploaded on Dailymotion if you want to go watch it.
Hola. Hello. Hi, I'm Paul.
Remember when I said Jake the Archivist would come back? On top of the 4 full storyboard episodes you can find on this channel, you can also see animation reels. I did also find a Johnny Quasar kind of rig. And then after that, I found a gold mine. Tom Saville, who you can find on YouTube right now, has almost 40 videos of his work on the show. Not to mention probably even more on his Vimeo. And on his own website, you can check out tomsaville.com.
Genius, or in-betweenius on Nick.
Genius, or in-betweenius was a marathon which ended in the grand conclusion of having a Jimmy Neutron movie premiere with commentary. I know what you're thinking. Wow, that's actually really cool. We get to hear what they... No, not that kind of commentary. It was Carl, Sheen, and Jimmy all in the lab watching the movie and commentating in character, which that's pretty cool.
You're watching a special presentation of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius the movie. We'll be right back.
What feels squishy to touch, easy to mold, and fun to hold?
A penis.
No, the answer is moon sand.
Jimmy Neutron's Scrap Trap is pretty self-explanatory if you know what those words mean. Scrap Trap is a character from Five Nights at Freddy's, and this is just an edited photo of Jimmy to look like the character. But while researching, I've also seen stuff that hints that this is like a real theory, so Matt Pat, get on that if you haven't already, mate.
Jimmy Neutron Gotta Blast Rocket Races.
From what I've seen, Jimmy Neutron's Gotta Blast Rocket Race was just an online racing game hosted on Nick.com. If you played the game online, there's a chance that you could have actually been hosted in the commercial breaks on the actual Nick channel, which is pretty cool. But to enter, you need codes that will be found on Nick merch, as seen in this commercial. And there's also a page for it on Lost Media Wiki where you can see you can get game codes from cereal boxes. Mrs. Estevez. Mrs. Estevez refers to Sheen's mother, who sadly passed away. There's a photo in episode 4A of Planet Sheen with a woman standing there that people theorize is Sheen's mother. Once again, massive thanks to Paul Clearhout. As most of you probably could have guessed, and as I did guess, the vocalization for the O logo was done by Steve Odenkirk himself.
Line.
Once again, thank you so much to Paul. I reached out to him to see if there's any credit to these rumors.
I don't remember them, but that doesn't mean they weren't done. I forwarded your question to Keith. He may remember. Hopefully he responds.
So he forwarded them to Keith, who said,
Nope. They were never animated.
Who is doing that counting down? They never explained that, man.
This is also a question I asked Paul, and I think this is the only one he didn't actually respond to. So thank you for being able to respond to so many of my dumb questions. My best guess is that it's either like Keith Alcorn, John A. Davis, Steve Odenkirk, or the creator of the intro, Brian Causey. But that's all for the ocean floor. Let's get down to the next layer. Bad out of heck. Brain Blast YouTube search term. Must have been like patched at some point because I looked it up and the weirdest thing I found when searching is farting on people prank.
Brain Blast!
At first I was like, sure, average YouTube prankster. Then I went back to the channel and realized his entire channel is wet fart pranks. And these go back 7 years ago. He's been ripping wet farts in public for a living since April 2016. Cancelled movie sequel. So there's actually been a couple cancelled movie sequels to the Jimmy Neutron movie. One being Journey to the Center of Carl, which like they already did that in an episode. It was planned for 2003, I believe, and got cancelled because the crew couldn't agree on a plot, as well as Keith Alcorn saying, once the TV series came out, there wasn't a lot of incentive to make a movie when fans could simply watch Jimmy Neutron at home for free. And there was also a cancelled TV movie where Jimmy and the gang go up and rescue Sheen. CBS times DNA is like this creepypasta type video that alters the image of the logos and shit. I noticed in the description it said, as seen on Street Caleb, so I looked that up and found a full ending that's just a rip-off of the Jimmy Neutron outro. But I literally can't find anything else on this show. I found Caleb Street in London and that was it. If you guys can let me know in the comments, please tell me. Jimmy clones Skeet after Men at Work. So obviously, going all the way back to the top layer or the second layer, it's Chip and Skeet being the same person, obviously. So after the Men at Work episode, Jimmy cloned Skeet. But I believe the Beautiful Mind episode took place before that. Maybe timeline order is, you know, we don't actually know all about it. So who knows, Men at Work might have taken place before A Beautiful Mind. Jimmy Neutron Happy Family Hour 2. The Jimmy Neutron Happy Family Hour 2 is the sequel to the popular 19 million video where Jimmy gets buried in a dead joke cemetery. Jimmy Neutron being in the same universe as the Grubhub ads were a trilogy of videos made by Matt Pat, starting as an April Fool's joke from Matt Pat and eventually just becoming a whole thing that Grubhub actually played into by sending him some files and mysteries to uncode. People have theorized that Jimmy takes place in Dallas because that's where DNA was founded. And we see on a map in one episode that they live in Texas. Mexican bootleg costumes. Mexican bootleg costumes refer to this image of bootleg costumes of Carl, Jimmy, and Sheen. Sheen was originally Japanese. Yeah, Sheen was originally meant to be a Japanese character named Shin, but the crew couldn't find a good voice actor of Japanese descent, so they made him Mexican. And from what I've heard, Sheen's original name was named after the nickname of one of their employees. The Jimmy Neutron Experience is another Seinfeld spit stain video, popular for being the first video that he made using Jimmy Neutron. It's just a disturbing render of 3D Jimmy Neutron, poor render, like twisting his head, eyes popping out as a distorted theme song plays in the background. But after that disturbing final entry, let's get into the second last layer of the iceberg.
It was all a dream!
Dream State Retroville is the version of Retroville that they fell into when they slept in the TV movie Win, Lose, Kaboom, where they have to jump into the void to wake themselves up. CarlWeezer.exe. CarlWeezer.exe, I assume, is one of those memes where it's like every version of blank is personalized, so it's just like a creepypasta type thing, since I can't actually find anything under Jimmy Neutron, Iceberg, whatever the fuck. Didn't link to anything, didn't find anything. Gamers Hell screenshots. Cool, another one I have absolutely no clue about. This is why it's at the bottom of the iceberg. The only hint towards this is the thing we found on the fucking side image. I assume it's referring just to how ugly Jimmy looked in the games. Once again, looking at us in Globs of Doom with our Sin City wasn't made for you. Neutron.mp4 is just another version of the creepy Jimmy Neutron outro. I think this was made by one of the creators of the Iceberg Denver Comet, which is why it is on this list. The Jimbles Dance is a video of this like yoga instructor, like has a head on the body, just a poor cutout thing of Jimmy Neutron just dancing around. And at the end there's a clipped version of Carl's scream that was taken from the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards interruption. That's the end of Dream State Retroville. Now onto the final layer. Jimmy's brain. Paul's dead in the coffee break outro. The coffee break outro is the one where he's not there and someone off screen yells, Paul? So obviously they had the camera rolling when he wasn't there, but it's a kid's show. Dark theory, he has to be dead, guys. There are more Carl Weezer memes than people in Retroville. This one's pretty self-explanatory. I looked up Carl Weezer memes on Google, which came up with 45,000 results. And I looked at the population of a city in Dallas. I found one called Pilot's Point with a population of about 4,500 as of 2021. Something tells me DNA team did not model over 145,000 people in Retroville. Warframe's a direct sequel to Jimmy Neutron. Warframe, from what I've seen, is just a collectathon game where you like grind for things, a bit like Destiny 2. And this final entry was taken directly from a Warframe iceberg and led to a Reddit post from 8 years ago. Yes, November 2016. That was 8 years ago. That's basically a shitpost theory.
I've made a potentially huge breakthrough that could shake the very foundation on which we view the history of the Warframe timeline. I was lucky to stumble across this revelation through sheer happenstance, but I have every reason to believe that the information I are about to divulge was deliberately placed like a trail of breadcrumbs for us to follow. My following theory will not only completely rearrange our current understanding of the Warframe timeline, but will also definitively settle whether or not the Warframe universe and the Dark Sector universe are one and the same. Let's start from the beginning in a scenario that we are all familiar with. Someone shattered the window on a Corpus ship and the room goes in full lockdown mode. Everyone who wasn't able to leave that room in time is now trapped in there, slowly losing their health to the sudden loss of oxygen, or at least, you would think it's due to the lack of oxygen. After the release of the Lua tileset, I began to have my doubts. Here we are on a planetoid with no visible atmosphere, yet our Warframes and unmasked Grineer troopers are able to freely traverse the environment, completely uninhibited. For the initial year after the second Dreams release, I just shrugged this off. Maybe the Lua tileset takes place exclusively at night, or the atmosphere is thin enough to be invisible, but thick enough to support human life. That all changed with the introduction of the Cuva Fortress tileset. Here we are now, on a tiny asteroid in the middle of open space. There is clearly no atmosphere here, and no possible way for one to exist. On the moon, it was easy to assume that there are Orokin terraforming devices still active somewhere, deep within the ruins, much like on the Corpus-occupied mountains of Venus. But the Grineer have not developed any similar technology. This leaves us with only two possibilities. Either the Grineer are utilizing ancient Orokin technology to keep their fortress in stable condition, or the human respiratory system works differently in this universe. Since we already know that the fortress is powered by Formarian technology, we can safely arrive at the proper conclusion. Humans have evolved beyond the need for oxygen. When the window of a Corpus ship breaks, it isn't the lack of oxygen that hurts. It's the sudden atmospheric decompression, and we know that they had evolved this ability since at least the first Warframes had been developed. As your Tenno operator is from that time, and he can breathe perfectly fine in free space Cuva Fortress tileset. So what does this mean for the connections between Warframe and Dark Sector? After playing through the game and scouring the Dark Sector wiki, I have found no evidence supporting the existence of humans who don't need oxygen to breath. This again leaves us with two separate conclusions. Either Dark Sector and Warframe are not connected in any way, or humanity didn't evolve until after the events of Dark Sector. So I did more research. I looked into every single title D has released, every work of fiction related to their original IPs, and then eventually looked elsewhere to other media until I finally found an answer, the following. Theory may seem a little extreme, so prepare to get red-pilled. You see, my research has led me to believe that Warframe is a bit like Undertale in the sense that both properties draw distinct and unquestionable lines to other franchises, but due to legal circumstances, they are unable to directly name them. In all the hours of reading through various internet archives, I finally found the source of the Orokin Empire, who they are, and where they came from. For all my searching I found but a single media franchise in existence where the adults must wear protection in space, but the children can breathe freely, and it takes place sometime after the Cold War, and it isn't even one of the many video games, movies, or comic books that D has claimed they drew their inspiration from. I figured you out. I figured you out, D. The true beginning of the Orokin Empire and the Warframe universe at large started with a single 2000s children's television program. Warframe is a direct sequel to Jimmy Neutron. Boy genius, got a blast.
Oh my god. Thank you for watching if you somehow made it this far. And if I missed out on anything, let me know in the comments. But see ya. Thank you for watching. And me personally, I got a blast. And my phone's about to fucking die. Holy shit. Finbar Calamitous. I'm gonna do it too hard. I literally fucking made this fall over. That's how fat I am. Sorry, can't unfuck the Thanksgiving turkey mum. I don't know why I'm fucking standing like this. Whole bunch of turbulence. Everybody strap your seatbelt. I wanna be Sigma. You're so very Sigma. But I'm baby Gronk. I'm from Ohio. What the hell am I mewing here? So I assume it's like one of those memes that's like, oh, creepypasta. Every version of the Jimmy Neutron video game. Holy fuck, I thought I saw something fucking move. That. Oh my god. Holy shit, that limbered me up for a second. Oh my god.